Good afternoon. I'm Felicia DePaula with the New Mexico Economic Development Department. I'm the program specialist, and you have joined our monthly Rural Efficient Business Program interview series. The Rural Efficient Business Program is a partnership between EDD and New Mexico State University and the New Mexico Manufacturing Extension Partnership. The program strives to assist rural small businesses and agricultural producers in New Mexico to reduce energy consumption, increase profits, and explore ways to better implement renewable energy systems. I'm going to share a few slides that I have created to explain our program a little more. This is my contact information. If after this series anybody wants to get in touch with me, feel free to email me or give me a phone call. These are some of our programs that provide funding through the Economic Development Department. I will also include these slides in an email for everyone who has signed up if they're interested. This is a little bit about the New Mexico Manufacturing Partnership that we have. So I will not go into detail with these since they are not on the line, but I did want to include all of their contact information, as well as our New Mexico State Partnership with Jalal. And I will get into the rest of this at the end of our interview. So I want to get into a little background of the New Mexico Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources Department, which was created in 1987 through a merger between the Natural Resources Department and the Energy and Minerals Department. The present-day Energy, Minerals, and Natural Resources Department consists of 7 divisions and employs approximately 415 people at 48 different work sites around the state. With us here today is Alyssa Latuchie. She is with the Clean Energy, the Energy Conservation and Management Division. I'm sorry, Alyssa, and she is the Clean Energy Economist. The Clean Energy Efficient and Management Division implements effective clean energy programs, energy efficiency, alternative fuels, renewable energy, and safe transportation of radioactive waste to promote economic growth, environmental sustainability, and wise leadership of our natural resources, while protecting public health and the safety for New Mexico and its citizens. So thank you so much for joining us, Alyssa, and we can go ahead and jump right into questions if you're okay with that.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much for having me.
Great. Can you tell us exactly what an Energy Conservation and Management Division does?
Sure. So the state has some really great energy goals. Currently, the goal is to reach 100% renewable energy generation by 2045, with rural electric co-ops reaching that goal by 2050. And so the Energy Conservation and Management Division, which we lovingly call ECMD, is really leading the charge towards that clean energy independence. And the division is committed to developing and maximizing New Mexico's renewable energy resources, while improving efficiency and transportation standards as well. And so we help to create effective policies and programs, and we've really helped to establish New Mexico as a leader in clean energy innovation. And all of this work has helped to generate quality jobs. It tracks investment opportunities and accelerates economic growth of the state. But you might say, like, okay, that's all great. That sounds great. But what does the division actually do? And so we run a whole bunch of different programs where we research, collect, and analyze data to inform state energy planning, regulation, and policy development. And we do a whole bunch of stakeholder engagement within our division as well, where we bring together a diverse group of people within the industry to help facilitate productive conversations and foster collaboration and innovative solutions around New Mexico's energy challenges and opportunities. And then we also provide technical assistance and educational resources to policymakers, local government, different stakeholders within the industry, and just the general public as well. And then we manage energy programs to help save energy and support the goals that we have in the state, and really help the state lead by example as well. And so some of the programs are more kind of behind the scenes. And then we have some programs that are more like in front of the curtain type programs. But a couple examples of the more behind the scenes programs, we have a grid modernization program where the goal of this program is to support functional and operational upgrades to the electrical grid in New Mexico. And this really does help to support the energy transition and emissions reduction goals for the state. We support actions to increase grid reliability, resiliency, and efficiency. And in order to do this, we bring together stakeholders and then these stakeholders have helped to form a roadmap for grid modernization in New Mexico. We've been compiling data. We help with policy recommendations, and then we also have a grant program to support technology-focused pilot projects and other relevant research around grid modernization. And then another example of one of the programs that we run that's a little bit more behind the scenes, it's not totally behind the scenes, is the Climate Change Task Force. This came about after the governor issued an executive order at the beginning of 2019 on climate change and waste prevention. And so it directed agencies to incorporate climate adaptation practices into their policies and operations. And so the task force works with interagency groups to develop plans. We call these interagency groups our climate action teams, and they develop plans to reduce emissions around electricity generation, transportation, industry, built environment, and also natural and working lands. And they also help develop mitigation strategies as well.
Will the public be able to be involved in that task force at all, Alyssa?
Well, the task force itself is primarily within the state. As we get into like the actual actions of it, there will be stakeholder engagement, if there's let's see, if you go to our website, there's a section around around the climate change task force, and you can see different actions, and there's a report that comes out every year, so you can see what's happening and where that stakeholder engagement is currently happening as well.
Great. We'll include that link at the end then.
Yeah.
So that people can really tap into that. Sorry, great. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No. Yeah, feel free to whenever you want.
Thanks, Alyssa.
And then so some of the programs that we run that are more kind of in front of the curtains, these come about from legislative action, and they provide those tangible services to the public. And those are things like tax credits. And we have a couple tax credits that are, kind of the most well-known. There's the Sustainable Building Tax Credit and the Solar Market Development Tax Credit. So that's a really long-winded overview of what we do as a division.
Well, it doesn't seem like you guys are busy over there at all.
Yeah, not at all.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, it's helpful for me to even understand it. I'm in this rural efficient role, and it's still like, how exactly can we work with EMNRD, and what do they do? Because there's so much that's happening over there, and I'm glad that we had the opportunity to talk with you today, because I think a lot of people are just like, there's so much going on. What exactly can they help with? But you did mention the solar tax credit. So I'm just curious, what is the Solar Market Development Tax Credit? How do you qualify for this? What has this credit done for the state of New Mexico?
Sure. So this tax credit passed in the 2020 legislative session, and it got up and running in July of 2020. And so the tax credit, it is an individual tax credit, and it provides a 10% tax credit of up to $6,000 for the installation of a solar system. So businesses can install, but the actual credit goes to the taxpayer and not to the business. And so since we just finished a tax season, we have some statistics we can share, which are pretty exciting. But you do have to keep in mind that it wasn't a full year, since it just got started in July. So it's just, almost a half year of data.
Okay.
But we processed a total of 2,189 tax credits, which
Wow.
is huge, and it's actually a new record. While this is a new tax credit for the solar market, we did have an old tax credit that sunsetted, and that 2,189 tax credits are more than the last 2 years combined, which is really impressive. And we issued just under $6.2 million in tax credits.
Wow.
So it's huge, and that represents just under $62 million in investment in New Mexico through solar installation. And so that $62 million just supports jobs up and down the supply chain, from manufacturers to developers to distributors to installers all over the state. We saw tax credits come in from over 45 different installation companies and in 28 counties across the state. So, we definitely had a high concentration within like the big population centers in the state, in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Las Cruces, but we did have installations in just about every corner of the state. So it's really exciting to see.
That's amazing. Have any of these companies talked about expanding, into more rural communities that you're aware of, or?
Personally, I'm not totally sure about that. But I think we're going to talk at a little bit later about the economic diversification efforts that we're doing. So it could definitely come into play in there, because it would be really useful to know what their plans are.
Great, thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah. And so, with this tax credit, we don't keep actual job creation numbers, but it's definitely clear that that $62 million is really helping to support the New Mexican economy all throughout the state. So it was really exciting to see. And since we just finished this tax season, we learned a lot from different tax recipients. So I thought I'd share some insight on that as well. That could be helpful for installers that might be listening. And so we learned from the tax credit recipients that it would be really helpful if the installers helped with the application process. There is an instruction manual that's available on our website that can help people and installers learn the ins and outs of how to actually apply for it. And it gets really busy around tax time. So we had 2 people working on it this year, and it was, all hands on deck, really busy. So definitely, as soon as the system is fully operational and connected to the grid, we encourage, either the installer or the homeowner to apply, so that you can get ahead of that rush at tax time. And then another thing to note is that there is an $8 million cap on tax credits per year for the next 7 years. And so we didn't quite meet that for 2020, but again, we only had, it started in July, so it was only a partial year. And so we do expect that we will meet that going forward. So again, it's super important to apply as soon as the system is fully operational and connected to the grid. And so first you would apply to our division for that tax certificate, and then you can file with the New Mexico Tax and Revenue Department. And so we're already processing those certificates for this year. So definitely don't wait until tax season. Get going.
And is that 8 million for residential and businesses combined?
Yeah, and so it's just an individual tax credit. So the businesses, you can put it on a business, but it does get paid to a taxpayer, the taxpayer itself. So that's total.
Okay, wow, people better hustle because it sounds like it's going to only double.
Yeah. So it's exciting to see.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, can you talk a little bit about the sustainable building tax credit?
Sure. So this tax credit was passed in the 2015 legislative session, so it's been going on for quite some time. And it's an income tax credit that encourages private sector design and construction of energy efficient and sustainable buildings. And it's both commercial and residential buildings. And for the 2015 tax credit, It's just for new construction. In the 2020 legislative session, we were able to pass a new version of the sustainable building tax credit, and we're still working on the rules for that, and so we don't have the exact layout of that new one, but it's exciting. But that new version does include new buildings as well as retrofits, and it also includes certain energy efficiency products. So you'd get a rebate for putting certain energy efficiency products in a building as well. So while we don't have the rules up and ready for that just yet, I would encourage everyone to keep an eye on our website so that you can know the latest and greatest on that as well. And this credit is actually based off of where the solar market development tax credit was based off of like the total cost of the system. This tax credit is actually based off of the square footage of the building and the building rating level. And so that's either a LEED rating or the Build Green New Mexico rating. And so the combination of those two things will get you that tax credit. But in 2021, there were 740 tax credit applications, and again, we don't keep track of job numbers, but we know that it's a huge number, and so it's definitely creating jobs all throughout New Mexico. So it's really exciting to see all of this progress happening in sustainable building.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear, is job creation. So I will smile. So leading into that, what is available to communities and local sectors through EMNRD?
Yeah, so the main thing that we offer for communities and local sectors is our energy savings performance contracting program. And so this program is supported by 2 state statutes it's actually been available since 1993. The 2 state statutes are the Public Facility Energy Efficiency and Water Conservation Act and the Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Bonding Act. And so these allow for financing of public building retrofits. And so just to kind of step back and to understand what energy savings performance contracting actually is, it's a way to fund a retrofit of a building based off of savings from the upgrades that are made. So you upgrade a building, you're going to get an energy savings, and so you fund that upgrade based off of those savings that you will see. And so it's a partnership between an agency and an energy savings company, which we call an ESCO. So the ESCOs provide, they first do an investment grade audit of the building or buildings that are being upgraded, and they'll identify different opportunities to save money through the utilities. And then they'll design and construct that project. And then they also arrange financing for that project. So the ESCO guarantees that the improvements that are made will generate enough energy savings to cover, to pay for that project over the term of the contract, which is 25 years. And so it really, this energy savings performance contracting allows for infrastructure upgrades to pay for themselves, which is a really great way, so you don't have to pay for it out of your pocket right away, which is which is excellent. And so our role, ECMD's role, is we review these investment grade audits, and we provide oversight during construction, and we verify that the project was constructed per the investment grade audit that was provided at the beginning, and then we provide commissioning as well. And so I pulled a few stats on this so that I could share how much what we've done, and it's really impressive, I think, personally. So we've approved $250 million in guaranteed energy savings performance contracts, and that's resulted in $11.5 million of annual savings to state entities. So that's huge, and it represents an average decrease of utility costs of almost 32% per project. So that's just a great savings for these, these local entities. And these projects also have implemented renewable energy generation. So, along with upgrading the heating system in a building, they put solar. They might have put solar in their parking lot or something like that, and that has generated 20 million kilowatt hours of electricity. And I ran that. I wanted to make that into a little bit more tangible, so we could kind of understand what that actually means. And I went to the EPA's Green Power Equivalency Calculator, and that is enough to power just under 1,900 homes for a year on average. So it's a really impressive number, and those are just local state buildings, and so it's great. And then this energy savings performance contracting can also help create microgrid projects. There's 2 microgrid projects that are underway. There's one at a community college and also at a state park. So there's a big diversity of types of projects that this performance contracting can help to support.
Wow. And is there more on your website about the microgrid projects? Because those are really interesting.
Yeah, I believe so. And if there's not, feel free to reach out to me, and I can get that to you. So, yeah.
Okay. Perfect. I mean, and you may not have the answer to this question, but just out of curiosity, why would people not be doing this? If it's bringing get common obstacles or barriers that people deal with that kind of hinder them from.
I think, honestly, I'm not totally sure, but I think they're just coordinate. Usually these projects are really big projects, so coordination of them, they can be long-term. You have to find new office buildings for a little while, or just the coordination of that takes a lot of time and effort. So I think that comes into play, but also I think just knowing that it's out there is also a barrier to people. People just don't know that it's a possibility. I think the more that people know that it's there, the more likely they will be to use it.
Well, and numbers don't lie. I'm usually not a numbers gal, but when you hear the numbers put into perspective like that, it's
right,
mind blowing. So I keep reading a lot of articles that talk about how wind power development is so strong in New Mexico, and I think Rio Rancho can probably attest for that in the last couple of months. Can you talk about what has been developed in the state?
Sure. So wind development has been really exciting in New Mexico. New Mexico has really positioned itself to be a leader in wind energy, and wind energy in general is a proven, cost-effective, and environmentally attractive source of power. And we've seen it just grow so rapidly in New Mexico in the recent past. And so let's see, for example, the total wind capacity in the second quarter of 2021 was 4,428 megawatts, and we have over 1,400 wind turbines online. And then I looked at the EIA data, which is the Energy Information Administration data, to see what was generated in New Mexico for 2020. And it was just under 7,200 gigawatt hours of electricity. And so again, it's hard to actually know what that means. And so I ran it through that same EPA Green Power Equivalency Calculator, and that's enough power to power over 675,000 homes for a year. And so a lot of that, so a lot of that electricity goes out of state, but it just shows that there's so much possibility for the state. And it's really exciting. And another stat that isn't specific for wind, but for renewable energy in general, is that in February, the total amount of renewable energy generation for the state eclipsed both coal and gas generation for the first time ever. And so that was really exciting to see that trend starting to happen. And let's see, our role, ECMD's role in wind development, we've helped to conduct detailed wind resource assessments of the state. And then we also help to provide data for stakeholders like wind developers, P&M, landowners, different stakeholders. We help to provide data to them, and we've looked at potential economic benefits. We've done studies on different counties as well, so that we can really see what that potential is. And then there's also some incentives that are available in New Mexico for wind developers that really help create that advantage for the state. There's technical assistance that's available through the New Mexico Renewable Energy Transmission Authority, through RETA. And also there's industrial revenue bond financing that's available, and this provides relief from property tax, which can be really helpful. And then also there's gross receipts tax exemptions for certain pieces of wind equipment. So all of that stuff helps to create that competitive advantage that really helps wind to become so prevalent in the New Mexican economy.
So basically, stop complaining about the windy springs because it's in the state. All right. Well, we're getting nearing the end here, so I just want to keep picking your brain, but I know you have a job to get back to. So what is new at ECMD? You know, what should businesses and owners know that's happening? What should they keep an eye out for?
Yeah, so we have a new program that's just getting started that's really exciting. It's the Energy and Economic Diversification Program. And so this came about in coordination with the governor's effort to diversify the state's economy. And so we're working with you at the Economic Development Department and through an Economic Development Administration grant that was awarded in 2020. And we're hiring 2 positions for this effort, where we're really focusing on recruiting and supporting renewable energy companies, bringing them into the state and figuring out what we need to keep them there. We're helping to provide technical support and educational training. And then we're working to facilitate degree and apprenticeship programs for the energy sector. And this last piece is so important for job creation. We really are striving to create a robust pipeline of qualified and talented New Mexicans that come from our high schools, get trained in the higher learning institutions in New Mexico, and then can find really great jobs within the state that can really help to create that clean energy future that we foresee coming to the state. And this program will really help with not only just the recovery efforts from COVID-19, but also help to strengthen the long-run economic outlook of the state as well. So we're really just getting started on that. And those 2 new positions haven't been hired yet. We're working on it, but we're really excited about it. And I encourage people to keep an eye on our website. We're going to have lots of information there. We're going to have resources up there. And so as we kind of get started on this program, there'll be lots of information that could be helpful there.
And we're really excited because a new position will be coming to our recovery team from EMNRD, which is super exciting. So I don't have to pretend that I'm so prevalent in energy efficiency compared to the real professionals. I don't see any questions that came through, but I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of emails with information that I will shoot your way.
Great.
I'm just going to share my screen one more time with some lasting information here. This is basically our regional community business and rural development representatives.
Felicia, I don't see it on the screen. I'm not sure if it's sharing.
Man, and we almost got away with being perfect, huh? Well, shoot, I will just read it off because I do not know what's going on, unfortunately. Maybe this will help. Do you see it now?
No.
No? Okay. Well, that's okay. I'm just giving some information about our regional reps. And again, my contact information will be provided to everybody who attended Alyssa's interview and presentation, and it was pretty painless, but we came in with a GED and left with a PhD. So thank you so much for all of this information. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to join us. We want to thank everyone who joined us live on our Facebook and YouTube channel. And please feel free to reach out to me, and I will pass these questions along to Alyssa with any information or inquiries. And again, keep an eye out on the EMNRD webpage. It sounds like there's a ton going on. So thank you again, Alyssa, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, thanks again for having us here. And yeah, I feel the same way. I'm really excited to see where this leads us.
Yes, thank you. And everyone have a good day. And thank you so much, Alyssa.
Thanks.
Bye.